What's happening, my people? This is the Sports Counterpoints podcast. I'm GB. I got Brian and Coop with me. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
Hello.
And we're back at it. Today is August the 29th, 2023. So we got some stuff going. It's sports happening now. We're in full swing. So have some quick hitters for the NFL, talking about Trey Lance, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs. We'll talk a little bit about college football. Just kind of get the guys' takes on this upcoming college football season. A little quick lap into golf as we talk about the Tour Championship. The Ryder Cup's coming up also. And then Simone Biles, man, does it again. What a champion and a legend. So let's get straight to it, man. NFL stuff. Let's start with your team, Coop. You got the floor, man. Trey Lance is gone. Tell me about this great culture of maturing quarterbacks over there that y'all doing.
I don't understand the backlash. I mean, we've all seen him play. It just wasn't working. He wasn't good. I don't get it. The surprise was not that he got, in my opinion, was not that he got traded. Is that we got a 4th round pick. That's something I never thought would happen because they said everybody was offering 6th round picks at best. And then Jerry Jones said he got the 49ers on the phone and wasn't hanging up till he made a deal. And a 4th round pick, I would have said sold right away and then hung up the phone like we're good. So, Trey Lance, look, I wanted him to succeed. You guys know that I wanted to get rid of Garoppolo as quick as possible. But being honest, it wasn't looking good. And I think parting ways is the best thing for both teams. There's no need to keep there's no need to keep a quarterback that you don't have faith in anymore. You invested everything you could. You gave up picks. You tried to, tailor the offense around them and whatever, injuries, not playing well, etc. It just didn't work out. But the thing that people aren't talking about is number one, or a few things. Number one, he never won a quarterback competition. He didn't beat out Jimmy for the starting position. They gave him the starting position a couple of years ago, and he couldn't beat out Sam Darnold. So he truly has never won a quarterback competition. Also, no team is going to invest what the 49ers invested in him. Nobody's going to back him like the 49ers did. They tried everything they could, and it just didn't work. And sometimes that happens. You swing and miss in the draft, and we swung big time and missed. Being these people now and then people say he could just be a 3rd string quarterback and get practice reps. 3rd string quarterbacks on the 49ers get 0 reps. They don't even run the scout team. The backup does that. Starter gets all the reps. So it was good that Trey Lance asked to be traded and good that the 49ers did right by him and trade him to Dallas. On the other side to Dallas, I'm not sure why they want him because he's no threat to Dak Prescott and he's definitely not a threat to Cooper Rush, who's a better quarterback than him, who's their backup right now. I don't know why Jerry did it. I would say maybe because he hoped he can hit a diamond in the rough. And if it doesn't work, he only gave up a 4th round pick, which is probably in the 130s, 140s, whatever. Jerry doesn't look at it as a big thing. I don't see him thriving in Dallas as long as Cooper Rush and Dak is there. But maybe he might get to show something off in the preseason and maybe catch on with another team. But I do hope for the best for him. But it just doesn't seem like he's going to be a good NFL quarterback at this time. B, well, you got any thoughts on it?
Yeah, well, one, I don't think that he lost the competition with Bradford. I think the minute they knew that he wasn't the starter, he had to be the 3rd string. He was never going to be a backup. He had to go. And you put the guy that you're waiting to figure it out there. So no harm, no foul there. I do think he's a threat to Dak Prescott and Cooper Rush, not because I think he's any good, but I think that they brought him in because they don't like Dak. I mean, Dak has played pretty poorly in the preseason, very poorly last season, injuries. He's got an expensive price tag. And I think most people don't believe that that Dak will be there beyond next year. And I think they know that while Cooper Rush will be a good backup, he's not a threat to ever be a starter. And there's still people who believe that Trey Lance can be. And I think obviously the Cowboys thought that he could have been one of them. I was waiting to hear that he was going to go to some place like Arizona where he would have an opportunity to play. But that obviously didn't transpire. If you were Trey Lance, you were almost hoping for that, given what's going on with Kyler Murray, both his ineptitude, but also his injury. And so,
y'all go ahead.
Be real with it.
There you go.
But so I wish Trey Lance all the luck. He's going to need it. I don't necessarily think that is that good, but I do think that other people are investing in him because they still think he might have a chance. And I'm so glad that the Vikings were very, very quiet in that whole thing. They did not make an offer. They did not show interest. There was all that talk over the summer about how the Vikings might make a move, knowing that thinking that Kirk Cousins will be gone next year as well. I'm just very glad that they didn't get involved in that.
Yeah, I'm happy the 49ers didn't keep them, because a lot of teams just keep quarterbacks or keep players just because they drafted them high. And once you realize it's not going to work, it just doesn't work. You just got to cut your losses. I mean, it happens. Take the PR hit or whatever the case may be. 2 first-round picks, whatever. Those picks have passed. We got first-round picks next year, so it's whatever.
Y'all could have got hella people. I will say this: if the Raiders had done this, you would never stop talking about it. But go ahead.
Well, you have a history of doing this, but y'all
have a recent history of doing it. What you mean?
First round picks? Oh yeah, we have a very recent history
right now. What you mean?
But it also kills the myth that people always say: just give a quarterback weapons and automatically succeed. And that's not it. Nobody ever looks at the quarterback's flaws or anything else. They just think it's always the weapons or receivers or running backs' fault. Trey Lance had it set up. So did Jimmy Garoppolo. The only person that really took advantage of it was Brock Purdy. So it's not just give a quarterback weapons. Weapons is an overrated used word. Every team has a weapon or two that you can use to throw the receiver. So,
well, on the other side, though, you have Dak, who throws it to the other team a whole lot, right? Like, you can have all the weapons, but you're throwing it to the wrong color jersey.
Come on, there you go.
It's real hard to use them.
There you go.
Yeah. But going back to my little conspiracy real quick on that. Oh, sorry, Glenn.
I was going to say they ran that boy up the middle, tried to get him hurt. Y'all ain't try to get that boy no shot. We did everything they could for him.
Everything they could.
All they did was trade for him. They ain't did nothing else, bro. What you mean? The Niners, right now, Shannon has history with quarterbacks. I think he just thinks he can make anybody good is how it looks. He ain't got no history.
He gave Brian Hoyer a Pro Bowl. He made Matt Ryan an MVP. Those dudes suck.
And that's in his head that it don't matter who my quarterback is. And y'all can't afford no good quarterback anyway. So when Brock, it's time to get paid, he ain't gonna be there either. Y'all can't afford no quarterback.
I agree with that, by the way. I don't think
y'all can't afford no quarterback.
That the 49ers have any intention of paying the quarterback position.
Heck no, it's too much money. It makes sense, but bro, I can't get with
I understand the strategy
for him. Yeah,
we'll see if it gets to a championship. But going back on my little conspiracy, I don't think Dak is there in Dallas next year. He has an out after this year.
Interesting.
So there is a way for them to cut bait. And if you want, this is my next step in that conspiracy. If there is a guy who might end up there that might seem weird, I think it's Kirk Cousins.
And Dallas?
Yep.
Why?
Because they have a great defense. They need somebody who can chuck the ball. And the one thing that Kirk Cousins can do, or I should say, his stats say he can do. He doesn't pass my eye test, but if you look at his numbers, they're outstanding. And if you're looking for somebody in a win now mode, which Dallas will absolutely be in the next couple of years, where you're not going to have a lot of money to pay a superstar quarterback.
Yep.
A guy like Kirk Cousins makes a whole lot of sense in a win now situation in Dallas next year.
Yeah, what's funny to me is, we all know Jerry Jones, the GM of the Cowboys, but he said in his interview he didn't consult with Mike McCarthy when he made this deal. That to me is hilarious. I don't know how you don't tell your coach you about to bring a quarterback on the team,
hey, bro.
That's how he does
it. If you had Al Davis or Jerry Jones, Suge Knight and Source Awards, bro, straight up. Like if you don't want your owner all in dancing in the videos, go somewhere else.
Oh man,
you already know what it is.
That was funny.
Coop, your favorite player is an ascending Niners quarterback. Also, I will say that your favorite player in the league is an ascending Niners quarterback. I'm telling you, it was Jimmy G,
whoever's
it was
in the role.
Brock, whoever's ascending. And as soon as he flutter a little bit, that fool was
no.
trash.
I'm not all in on Brock yet. I got to see more. I'm not all in. I'm happy, but I'm not all in yet.
He ain't a truck.
You got to wait. He ain't a truck yet. No, he ain't no truck. No, he ain't trucking.
I got a clown.
Yeah.
All right. So what about these?
It's funny you said that real quick because shout out to my boy Harris, who's my barber's son. We was talking about Trey Lance last week, and he was telling me, man, you move off quarterbacks quick, boy. What you want to?
Hey, Harris, you ain't lied, brother.
You move off of them, boy.
Quick, bro. Don't let that boy throw a pick. That boy garbage. Like, damn.
All good. Moving on, though. My bad.
Yeah. So, it's good. So the running backs, man. Let's start with Jonathan Taylor, bro. This is kind of interesting to me. In an interesting scenario with these running backs right now. I think he's still on rookie deal anyway, so it's not like he had unfortunately a ton of leverage, but he now is on PUP list, so he's physically unable to perform, which means he can't play for the first 4 games of the season. There was he took some time away, and the team was back and forth, so it's kind of an interesting scenario. He's not being traded; he's on the team. What do y'all think happens here?
So I think we've seen what's going to happen, right? So here's the thing. he's only got a $4 million deal this year. It's the last year of his rookie deal. He's about to be a free agent. He wanted to be traded. They're sick and tired of him. And so they say, go ahead and find that trade.
Same thing they did to Lamar.
Jonathan Taylor had a couple of issues working against him. One, he's still hurt, apparently, from last year. He has not practiced. He's not been part of it. He started on the PUP list. And, that's hard for a team to trade for him, knowing that they're going to have to give him some type of a deal in order to make him happy. The other part is that and this is kind of amusing, the Colts said, hey, if you want to get traded, you're going to have to get back some serious picks, first rounders, second rounders, escalated picks, so on and so forth. And so, the argument was, well, wait a minute, you don't think that I'm that great and you don't feel like you need me. But if you want someone else to want me, they need to give you the picks as if I'm great. And so, the juice isn't necessarily worth the squeeze for other teams. But I think the main reason that he's on the PUP list is that they can't afford him to get hurt. And so they're wagering that over the course of the next few weeks, there's a big player who gets hurt and they can make a deal midseason for Jonathan Taylor. He can go back to practice in 2 weeks, which means that you really aren't giving up too much. And ultimately they keep him protected so he doesn't get hurt because, he's had a few injury problems. He's outstanding when he can play.
Yeah, it's a tough position.
But it doesn't take a year to get fit, to get an ankle, get past an ankle injury.
This guy.
He's definitely going.
Might take me 4, but okay.
Yeah. I want to see. I think he's hurt, but we'll see because when he's eligible to practice, if he doesn't practice when he's eligible to practice, that's going to seal it for me. I'm going to think he's hurt. If he comes out there and practices, and I think he's good, and there's a possibility that somebody trades for him. I don't think if he doesn't practice, I don't think anybody's going to trade for him. And you're right, Brian. Everything you said, they treated him like the Chargers did Austin Eckler. You say you think you're worth all this money, go seek a trade, and what did Eckler do? So. But they in the Indianapolis part, they played it a little meaner in that they said you're going to have to give, you're going to have to tell them that not only whatever deal it is that you want, you're going to have to give them to get you that plus first round pick or third round, second round. It was a whole lot of picks, right? Which teams are willing to pay the contract or give the picks for a favorable contract, but not both. Right. So he's a great deal this year at $4 million. I think is all he makes. But he's a horrible deal at $12 million plus a first rounder. Picks. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially since the teams that are most likely the ones that want to trade for him are in the running for Caleb Williams next year. Right. I mean, we may see the biggest tank job we've seen in a decade. You mean with the Colts?
Anybody.
Oh, well, I don't know if you want to. I don't think Arizona's going to actually be tanking. I think they're just going to be losing. I don't think they're going to tank.
It's not on purpose.
We should talk about that because I was talking to Dave and we were both kind of on board with the idea that that Arizona may get to the point of tanking. I agree with you. I think that they're going to lose because their teams are kind of in shambles. But that turns into tanking real quick when you realize that you have a shot at Caleb Williams and what's his name, Drake May, or who most are saying are the two best quarterbacks to come out in a decade.
Arizona, they just cut Colt McCoy. I don't know if you know that, but so Kyler Murray's not playing. They got some guy. Once I saw they got some guy playing third string, then maybe you could be right. They're tanking because this is a guy I've never heard of, and I watch college, so they could be just tanking.
I mean, they would have been a really good team to pick up Trey Lance. They didn't make a move there, but there's a lot of teams. I mean, the Patriots emptied the whole quarterback room. They kept Homeboy, and then they traded Zappy, who they all wanted to be. Not traded, cut Zappy. It'll be interesting to see if he makes it. Like they emptied the whole. There's one quarterback on the roster.
Oh, wow.
So it'll be interesting. The one problem with getting rid of Kyler Murray that you don't have with Dak is that he's got $100 million guaranteed money left on the deal.
Right.
That's the guaranteed money. So, they're less likely to cut him than to try and find a trade. The dude hasn't played in a year. He's coming off an ACL. He's starting the season on the PUP list. that also comes with a lot of issues, and he didn't play well.
Yeah, and the Rams are going to be bad too. And Stafford they signed Stafford to 130 million guaranteed after the Super Bowl, so cutting him is a bunch of dead cap money too. They're going to be bad.
We get into all this next week, though.
I thought.
Yeah, we'll get into all this next week though, because we're veering off. Let me ask you all, kind of bring this back for Josh Jacobs comes back. That was kind of our last quick hitter there. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I think, Glenn, you said that he was going to come back, just don't want to go through training camp. But I would think, as a fan of the team, I don't know who I can look back. I can go back a few years and see those running backs that always held out during camp for money. I don't think they performed that well in the upcoming season. So I'll be interested to see. I know he had 1,600 yards. It's going to be hard to duplicate. I mean, 1,200 could be a stretch this year. I don't know. We'll see how he looks the first couple games.
Averages 1,000 a season. 1,000 yards is a good season still. So what do you think, B?
Yeah, I mean, look, I do not fault him. There's no reason for him to have gone in and practiced and gave him all that free work for what he's going to get paid. You're right, though. There is a history of, especially for running backs, of missing out on training camp, struggling at least a little bit to start. Obviously, the most famous example of that is Emmitt Smith. But I think he'll be fine in that he'll be able to get in there. It's not a new offense. He's concerned. He'll be fine. I don't think he's going to repeat on his season from last year, just because that's hard to do.
Yeah.
Anyway,
exactly.
I think he'll have a very solid season, because nobody's more motivated than the guy who knows he's shopping for a team next year. He's not like Dalvin didn't know in the middle of last season that he was most likely not going to be there this year. Ezekiel probably did, but Josh didn't. He does this year. He knows he's reasonably certain that he's shopping for his new deal, and he wants his new deal to be real money. And he's going to have a big year. And players play hurt when that's the case. Players play harder. Players are motivated. They're focused. They're telling their friends they're not going out on the Friday night. They gotta nail it down.
I get that money.
I'm just talking about the history, man. I'm just thinking. I remember Jamal Anderson. I remember Larry Johnson from Kansas City. I remember Steven Jackson. I remember Chris Johnson. I mean, they all held out, and when they got back, even Maurice Jones-Drew, and then when they came back, it just wasn't good. Hopefully, for Glenn's sake, that doesn't happen with the Raiders. But I'm interested to see how he looks at least the first month of the season, if he has any rust or just not the same.
I think he'll be fine. I think, to your point, like, you have a season like you did last year, no one with any sense, in my opinion, is expecting you. Even when Derrick Henry was going crazy, ran for all them yards, I figured he'd have good seasons, but you don't expect them to replicate the exact same thing. Every season's different, but I think he'll play solid.
You got him for 1,300 yards this year?
I got him for 11.
11, okay.
On the ground or total?
On the ground.
Yeah.
Straight ground. Okay. He'll have another 350, 400 and out the air. Probably another 10 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. It's a typical season.
Oh, that's a lot. Okay.
I mean, that's a typical season. That's kind of what he's averaged for the years he's been here. One year he had 800 yards. Every other season he's at over 1,000. So when you average him out, it's like exactly 1,000 yards a season. So I think that's what he'll do. Maybe some more, but I don't really see I see a fall off, because 1,600 is hard to do, like Brian said, but I don't think it's going to be 800. Like, I think he's going to still ball out. And then either be facing another tag or get a deal. So good luck to him. He looked happy in all the videos I seen, and he posted.
I would too.
So 12 milli, what
right.
I'm saying?
I would
and
too.
His deal, I think, is a little bit different than Saquon's, because it's more base salary than it's not like, here's your 10 million plus incentives. I think it's more base, gets him up closer to that 12 mil. So yeah, he gets his bread. He's in Vegas. He's said he's been making good business investments. So let's see what happens. So yeah. All right, so cool. Sliding from that, give me the college football rundown, guys. You guys Coop is like a huge college football fan. Brian, I know you are too, but Coop is going crazy for it.
Man,
what should we be looking for?
What should we be looking? Well, first of all, in the Pac-12, or what's left, well, actually, yeah, one more year. The Pac-12. Yeah, the only thing to look forward to is USC, and we got a chance to watch some USC football when they played San Jose State. Caleb Williams, he looks sharp. Lincoln Riley looks like he's on his game, and the USC offense, I think they put up 56 points. So they're still rolling. That's something to look at. You can look forward to those 7 o'clock or late window college football games. Of course, A lot of people want to see that how the SEC and the Big Ten teams look. The Ohio States, the Michigans, the Alabama, the Georgias. They don't play to the following week. Of course, I just hope Miami can win more games than we lose. So I guess 7-5 will be a successful season for us. But
Yeah.
LSU, I'm also looking forward to watching as well. I think they have a national championship team. They got a quarterback. I think maybe the Wink League probably could be the quarterback in his passing, but they have a really, really good squad, LSU. And I don't know if I'm like most people, but you're kind of rooting for Alabama not to be that good this year, and they're not going to be that good. I think that's a 9-3 team. They're definitely going to suffer some losses. This isn't the same Alabama team that we're used to seeing, so I don't think you have to worry about them being in the college football playoff this year. But other than that, though, B, what you looking forward to if you're looking forward to anything this year?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely looking forward to watching Caleb Williams, who seems like he either picked up exactly where he left off or has even made a stride forward. He played a very good game, super accurate. Even when the snap was the play was busted, the snap was busted. He threw that flat-footed, and
That was crazy.
perfect strike for a touchdown.
That was crazy.
That is, yeah. And then they have this freshman. I think that they're going to have to find some more ways to get the ball in Zachariah Branch. That kid is quick. He is fast. He seems to have great footwork. He was fun to watch when he ran back that touchdown right after. San Jose State had a little bit of a move going down the field and scoring that touchdown. He ran it right back down their throat immediately for a touchdown. That was impressive. I think, and they get him for 3 years. He's a freshman. So that's going to be interesting to watch and see what Caleb Williams can do with it. The defense is scary there. I think that they really need to figure out. Now, they said that they're going to need time to gel. This is not something that they weren't aware was going to be a concern early on. But, San Jose State is not going to be at the same caliber as some of the other teams are going to play throughout the year. I think your take with Alabama is interesting. They're still ranked fourth in kind of the AP. I agree that they're not as good, but 9-3 is that's a lot of losses.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for it.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for it. I do not root for Alabama, but I think that the other thing that I will find interesting is how Georgia fans will justify being so on for them and saying that they're the greatest team and all this other stuff when they have the third easiest schedule in all of Division I football. Their schedule is an absolute joke, and there's 126 teams, and they're like 124th on strength of schedule. It is ridiculous how bad their schedule is this year. They're clearly going to go undefeated or very close to it, and I'm interested to see if winning with a ridiculously easy schedule gets rewarded with a number one spot in the college playoffs.
Oh, it's going to get rewarded. It's the SEC team. You already know it. Yeah.
Well, but being in is different than rewarding a team like Michigan or Ohio State that have a harder schedule. USC has a harder schedule, much harder schedule. There's other teams that have a harder schedule. Them being in the playoffs undefeated is a given, and it's appropriate.
Yeah.
But do they reward them with a one spot, or do they say,
got you.
Higher strength of schedule can get the one spot and you can be in the playoffs, but you haven't played anybody yet. And if they don't, I think they legitimize the reason why the playoffs need to change going forward, because what are they there to decide? What are they there to mix and match, if not to look at the strength of schedule of one team versus the other that have very similar records?
Yeah. One thing I noticed in the top 10, just two more comments. I noticed that Washington is a top 10 team. I don't think so, but I guess somebody does. So I'm interested in watching them later this season. And also Texas they should be a top 5 team. They have so much talent on that team, but unfortunately Steve Sarkisian is the coach. So you really can't buy into them, but Texas has a lot of talent, but they'll find a way to lose to Rice and beat Oklahoma. So that's just what they do. But other than that, everything is everything in college football.
Peyton Manning's nephew, the quarterback there?
Arch, he doesn't start though.
Okay, because I think he's a freshman anyway, right?
Yeah, he's freshman. Arch, yeah.
Because couple things. One, I'm curious about
Oh wait,
Colorado.
Glenn, you might like this. He was throwing interceptions in spring practice. Just to let you know.
Oh yeah, that's nothing. That's what we see. That's what every Niners quarterback is doing. That's what I heard. I'm curious about Colorado with Dion to see if they do anything. I mean, it's the first year, so I'm curious there just to see what happens. And then also, I just was reading that. Have you all heard about this? That ESPN partners with the theatrical distribution network to show college football games in movie theaters. They're showing 75 games in movie theaters in like the away market, right? So you're able to go watch the game, college football games, 75 games, and some bowl games. So I hadn't heard about this, but very curious about it. I don't know what that's going to mean. I mean, it's smart for the theaters to try and see if they can drum up some other
They're
kind of
just
business.
hurting.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
hurting.
curious if it works though. I mean, you got a lot of these theaters have a bar.
Now that
you
they're
have
selling
food.
liquor in some of these things, I'll tell you what, it's not where I would go watch the game, but I am not the intended audience.
Right.
You know, like if you're a movie theater right around USC that sells beer, you could probably get a whole bunch of students going in there and you know, having a good time and cheering and the whole nine. Like, sure, I get that. So you know, I wish, it'll be interesting. Theaters are hurting a lot, and that it's obvious based on these types of moves. This is a great move for struggling companies.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I'm with you, B. I don't know that, you know, I would, if it happened and we were around and we could do it, I would probably go to one just to kind of get the atmosphere and see it on the big screen, see how it goes. But I'm curious how it works, right? Like, so that was something I saw that's kind of interesting to me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. I know I wouldn't do it, but like Brian said, I'm not the intended audience, but it may be something I might do one time just to experience it, like you said, Glenn.
You know, we're at Buffalo Wild Wings or something eating, and then it's over there. You might walk across the area, like let's see what it's talking about. Especially depending on what the cost is. If it's really minimal, why not?
Speaking of Buffalo Wild Wings, our boy don't work at that. We don't do business with that company no more. So
young Javi's out, huh?
Yeah. So you know, shout out to you,
Shout
Javi.
out.
But
straight up.
All good.
Yeah, I think we go to that place like once a year. So
yeah, right. Anyway,
the first place I thought of sports bar wise.
No doubt.
No more mango habanero for you, huh?
Nah, I'm cool there. Speaking of ESPN, this is random, but y'all remember ESPN, the ESPN Zone, the restaurants?
Yeah.
It was
they had great ribs.
Yeah, I was watching something and they brought that up. I was like, dang, just how many places that have come and gone, you know, like the Planet Hollywoods and all that. But ESPN Zone, I was like, dang, we used to go in there tough in Atlanta.
Yeah, you remember ESPN Classic? Wasn't that a failure by ESPN too?
Next year we'll be saying you remember ESPN.
Yeah.
So
damn.
ESPN thought it was a good idea that people want to watch the 1983 Sun Bowl against Arizona State and Tulane. I don't know what they were thinking, but yeah.
You know, they don't lose money on that. There's no cost to it. They put it on television and people watch it. They throw extra commercials on it. They don't have to pay talent. They don't have to pay hosts.
Yeah.
All of it's just footage.
Cash grab.
Those types of channels like the Cartoon Network, you never hear about them going broke because they don't cost anything.
Yeah.
Other than the rights to it. You know, the one that's struggling is the one where they need to pay all these damn people.
Yeah.
And you know, they overpaid for some of the sports that they wanted to
overpaid for. Yeah, they overpaid a lot. Yes.
Yeah, and now they're about to be the first of the Disney corporations to get consumed by Apple. Or something.
Crazy. Yeah, we always talk about that too. Excuse me. All right, so that's college football. Unless y'all got anything else?
Good.
Cool. So just a kind of a quick run. Got to talk about some golf with Victor Hovland playing lights out on that back nine. He's out there playing like Brian, getting busy. Shout out to B. B's been out here cooking on the course, so I'm gonna give you some props. But yeah, Victor Hovland wins the Tour Championship, FedEx Cup. Dude is, I mean, last couple of weeks playing lights out. Won like $20 million playing golf in the last like 2 weeks at 25. So, B, what kind of your thoughts, man? I know you probably.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely summed it up with Hovland, who for the last month has just been getting progressively better. You know, people were talking about it, including Scheffler, that the way the Tour Championship works is not exactly the way to tell who the best golfer was over the course of the year.
Yeah, I bet Scotty would say that.
But he said it before when he was going in with the lead.
Gave up hella strokes.
And in this instance, it actually proved who the hottest golfer right now was. I think it's hard to argue that Hovland wasn't the hottest golfer right now. I mean, he has been on fire. He's also made light of his struggles throughout the beginning of this season and last season with chipping. his chipping was so bad that most people who watched him chip figured that they could do better, and they probably could have. And now he is gaining almost 3/4 of a stroke around on chipping on the crowd. So he went from, I think, 150th to 55th over the course of a season. That is really impressive for those of you who don't know how to make heads or tails of it. And there was also the other part that was super interesting is Scotty Scheffler just kind of crap in the bed. He went into it with a couple stroke lead on some people and pretty significant lead on others, and watching him just fall apart, all again because he cannot putt. He has had that struggle all season long.
Feel his pain.
I
feel his
you
pain.
know his pain,
man.
He needs to get himself a Bettinardi. But I think it's really kind of an interesting story for people who know golf or play golf. The fall from grace for Scheffler was about putting. The rise from the ashes for Hovland was about chipping. We always talk about how the short game is what actually wins.
Yep.
Rory McIlroy, who is one of the best drivers of the ball and strikers of the ball, wasn't able to get his putter to get hot, and ultimately it cost him an opportunity to try and get up the list. Short game matters. Not that my brother ever watches or listens to our podcast, but if you're watching this time, Jonathan, this is why I tell you every single time to start with your practice your wedges before we go out, not just swinging drivers for 40 minutes.
Hey, that's for you too, Coop. As a new golfer, man,
Yeah.
100 yards and in. Start at the green and work backwards. Yeah, everybody worries about the long shots, which is cool. Don't get me twisted. It helps, but once you get close to the green, that's when it matters. You got to get the ball in the hole.
You think about it, on every hole, you may hit one drive. You may hit one of a variety of approach shots. You almost certainly are going to hit some type of a chip and at least 2 putts.
Yeah.
That's the way it works.
Yep.
More than half your strokes on your card, sometimes a lot more than half your strokes on your card, all in the short game.
Mm-hmm.
Put in that time and energy.
And it works. So it works for actual championship golfers and professional golfers. So shout out to Hovland. He's been balling out.
Congratulations, Dan.
Ryder Cup, man, coming up too.
I was gonna say one more thing we should talk about is the Ryder Cup, because a huge announcement was made. Brooks Koepka was chosen to be the last guy in on that team, and the captain said it was never a doubt that he was playing way too well.
He's playing good.
But there was a lot of doubt because he's a live golfer now. So this is a big deal to have a live golfer selected. And congratulations to him because he's playing so well.
Live don't exist. He's a PGA golfer with live money.
Well, yeah, he's a live golfer for I think he has like a little bit left in their season, but I think they have like two more left in their season. But anyways, congratulations to him, because if there was anyone from the live golf group who deserved serious consideration, it's him. DJ obviously is the best golfer on the live tour, but Brooks has been the best live golfer on the PGA Tour.
And for anybody who doesn't know, Ryder Cup is about you play 2 golf teams, one from the U.S., one from Europe, and they go head to head against each other. So it's a kind of a fun tournament in that way, that it's us versus them, or whoever your us is.
And there's a lot of cheering. There's a lot. It's a very fun golf.
Yeah, it's lively.
They play team games. Justin Thomas, who hasn't played very well, they picked him on the team because he and Spieth basically just play great golf together as a team, as teammates, and they always want to keep those two together. There really is. There's certain people that you don't want to see, and there's certain people you do want to see because they play so well in these types of environments. It is as close to a team sport as you can get in golf without it being live.
Yeah. Straight up. Yeah. So that's going down. So that's cool. So we got some golf stuff cooking. It's good times out here, man. So we also just have to talk about Simone Biles. I mean,
man,
Can
legendary.
you say?
No,
like nothing but
come back from the twisties and just start winning again.
Yeah, like she never left. Like insane, just a champion amongst champions, like the best to ever do it. And just wins again. So it's cool to see her, like Brian said, come back and just right back to dominating. And I hope everybody who she had that time off took advantage, because it's, when it's like Jordan going out,
That's
taking
it.
a
When
couple
MJ
years
came
off,
back and just seized the reins again, she
they
did
come back.
exactly that.
You already know what it is. So had to give a shout out to her.
Yeah, man. 8
Eight,
U.S. Gymnastic Championship.
Yeah,
That
like
just sounds
And
crazy, man.
the eighth
Damn.
one is the by far the most impressive because
Yeah.
she just got back.
Yep.
He did like a warm up round like 2 weeks ago, and then
Yeah.
came in and be like, "All right, let me just take this." If you see,
Damn.
people are really happy for her, and she seems to be a really nice person.
Mm.
But if you see when she gets on the podium, the video of it, both them girls definitely have a look like, really, like you're
yeah,
back.
you had to
Like,
come back right now. Right, you
yeah,
couldn't
it's
take
not
one more
hate.
day
It's
off.
not. Yeah, it's not hate. It's maybe a little bit of jealousy,
Yeah.
but they realize that the queen has returned, and she's back to run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she dominated too. Like
Oh yeah,
best score of the weekend to win it.
Yeah.
Um, eighth national all-around title, first for any gymnast ever. So don't matter who it is, like no one can do it. So it's pretty dang impressive. And it
Yeah.
was down the street from me, but I couldn't do it. I was out of town, because I definitely would have tried to at least
you
get a
know
ticket to sit in there.
my mistake was, Allie's into gymnastics, and it would have been fun for me to sit with her and watch Simone Biles do it. Now I have the advantage of I could probably play a replay on YouTube, and she wouldn't know the difference from last week or last year. Or
And
last,
she's only gonna watch like probably 10 minutes of it, but
But
and start flipping her
she's
around.
into that stuff. Maybe she'd get into. I don't know. I guess it's a good litmus test.
Yeah, let's do
If
it.
you're not willing to watch the best do it, you're probably not that into.
No.
I didn't get
Yeah.
to see it all either, so we'll be there next week. So we'll see. I just feel like my niece will watch a little bit, and then she's gonna be on the flipping her own. It's gonna inspire quickly. But yeah, no, it's amazing. Like it's never been done. So what can you say? And then the idea of like what Brian's saying, coming back, gymnasts called the twisties, a dangerous loss of spatial awareness. So to imagine, having, which I could imagine how that could affect your brain, your equilibrium, etc. Come back from
You
something like that, insane.
You can get really hurt because when they do these
Heck yeah.
floor routines where they're doing crazy flips and the twisties, I guess the worst case of it is you forget that you're in the air and don't prep yourself for landing and just go splat. Right, that has happened to people with twisties. And she had them during international competition and had to remove herself from a lot of her events. And a lot of people figured that, her career at the top was over. She might come back and she might be able to be competitive, but she answered those doubters.
Man, she has won the all-around title in every national championships in which she's competed as a senior, beginning in 2013 when she was 16.
Yeah.
Nuts,
Crazy.
like crazy domination. So that's cool.
Crazy.
Wow.
Man. Yeah.
Greatest gymnast of all time, competing for skills that have since been named after her. That's nuts.
Yeah, if there's any question,
while
Yeah.
doing it, that's crazy.
Yeah.
if there's any question of who the best is,
It's
Right.
no question, man.
That's right.
She's up there.
Like,
So
don't
that's
ask.
awesome.
Good answer.
Don't
Awesome
ask.
to see that sister do it. So that's cool. So Simone Biles, got to give her a shout out. If you guys got any last minute hitters y'all want to throw out to any of our other topics before we get up out of here.
Yeah, I got a hitter, man. Why Raiders cut Philip Dorsett and Jaquan Johnson from the U? What's y'all problem? Y'all don't like players from Miami?
They watched that special and said found out all of them were criminals and just wanted to get ahead of it.
Hey man,
the hell?
the
They figured it
preseason,
was.
they played. I'm gonna say that. And you had some guys really shine, and from what I've seen in them joint practices and stuff. So we'll see. Because I like the idea of Dorsett and Johnson, but we'll see. If it's practice squad or they go elsewhere. Best of luck to them dudes and everyone who got cut for all these NFL teams, man. Because we forget, like, that's cats' livelihoods. Some of these dudes may never play again. Like, so
I don't think people understand how hard it is to make a 53-man NFL roster. I know it's 53 people, but people don't understand, man.
Real.
There are guys out there who can ball and they can't even make the damn practice squad. So it's
because
hard.
People want a second kicker. Like it's some of the things that's crazy, right? You have a kicker who they have doubts about, and so they have to carry another kicker. Mm-hmm. And so a promising linebacker or skill position player doesn't make the team. for a guy who will almost certainly not make week 3.
Yeah.
And so trying
And
to
then there's
get
a
them
lot
guys
of
back, but
and then there's a lot of just team jockeying where they're doing stuff. So there are some teams that have 4 quarterbacks, and they will really like the quarterback depth, or 4 running backs. I think the Vikings had this right here, where they were questioning whether or not they should cut the player now because they didn't want someone else to pick them up because they're so good.
Right.
And then they wait a week or 2 after all those positions are filled, and then they cut them, screwing the player because the player doesn't get the money, right? Now only option is a practice squad,
right?
Making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. It's less money than you would think. It's get by money. And they've lost their opportunity in 2 fronts. There's a lot of stuff that NFL teams do to help their books that hose the player.
It's business first, and also the NFL fans have they think that every time you see a football game, the best 11 players are playing all the time, and NFL players tell you all the time, or ex or current, that's not necessarily true. There's some that have favoritism with the coach. There's some because of their contract they're playing. They're not better than the guy that's behind them. So it's a lot of different dynamics that go on, like you just said, with the practice squad players or the players that get cut. It's a lot of different dynamics that go on with the NFL team. It's not just the best 11 play, and then that's just how it is. It's a little more than that. So
I'm not a big fan of Paul Shirley, the person, anymore. He kind of went weird at some point, but he has a great autobiography about his travails through the NBA because he had something like 23 different teams for a period of time. And, and one of the things he talks about was he got cut. I think it was from the Phoenix Suns. And his biggest fault was being considered a veteran because he had been around the league. And they said, you're going to cost me a veteran's minimum at, let's call it $1 million. I don't know what it is at that point in time. And this other person who is not nearly as good as you is going to cost me $250,000. And I'm going to hire this kid at $250,000 because he gets a rookie minimum or, the player's minimum, and you get the veteran's minimum. And it has nothing to, and like the coach even said, like, you're way better. He's like, well, great, give me the job. And he's like, that's not what matters. We got to factor in. Right. So it was a good book for a dude who went weird later on. The one quick hit I wanted to talk about was the FIBA World Championships, and most importantly, our boy Austin Reeves, who has shined mightily in the games. I think he's averaging something like 18 points. All these other starters, Edwards, Jalen Brunson, Brandon Ingram, are basically just there to watch Austin Reeves do his thing at this point. It is amazing to me that no team made him an offer. I understand that the Lakers put it out there that they were going to match whatever. But no team actually made a run at making the Lakers uncomfortable and allowing him to get this player at a really reasonable price to now watch him shine on the international stage. And he's not just scoring. I mean, he is shooting 60% from the field, 40% from 3. He's averaging, I think, 6 assists and I think 5 or 6 rebounds to go with 16.8 points a game. Like, he is killing it. And some other players, there's been a lot of talk about Anthony Edwards being frustrated with his role because he's bench bound, or
the quote he had was funny. I don't know if you heard that. They said there was like I think they were saying, well, Kobe came off the bench when he played. He was like, there ain't no Kobe on this team.
Right.
No, he said D Wade. He said D Wade came off the bench when we had Kobe. And he's like, there's no Kobe on.
Kobe ain't on this team. He ain't lied either. He ain't lied.
But
real
talk.
Ain't
lied.
Yeah. But, I just thought that was interesting and worth.
Yeah, good call. Word. Last couple segments, man. What's hogwash for you guys? Give me what's a bunch of hogwash.
Let me tell you some what's hogwash, man. That hogwash is that clip I sent you guys when Paul Pierce was talking about that open run he had with Magic Johnson some years ago, and them open runs where Paul Pierce was guarding Magic Johnson. Magic shot a hook for game point, missed. Where the Paul Pierce team went down court, made it, game over. Magic said, "Nah, go ahead and bring that
bring
back,
that back, young
fella.
boy.
You
Wow.
fouled me, young fella. You know what I'm saying? Come on now, you ain't got to be acting all like that. Talking about his game, then they gave the ball right back to Magic against Pierce. This time he made it, game over. That's some hogwash. I love you, Magic, my favorite player, but damn, you know what I'm saying? OGs just don't like to lose. You know what I'm saying? They just
Big
don't
dogged them.
like to lose. And anybody y'all growing up and play with the OGs. I came across that situation before. I'm sure a lot of y'all have too. Y'all know old men like to get away with stuff like that and foul a lot. So that's just how it is. But it was a funny story about Paul Pierce. Shouts out to him.
That's funny.
That's it.
B?
Yeah, so mine is the F1 race going on in Las Vegas. It's been kind of poorly run from the beginning. They've been ripping off people, but here's a most recent story. So I think some people may be aware of the fact that, look, this race is going through actual Las Vegas, straight down the middle of it.
Strip, yeah.
One of the things that the F1 organization did was that they told people that they needed to pay the F1 organization $1,500 per possible person in their store. So if you could fit 2,000 people, 1,500 times 2,000, it's like $1.5 million or something along those lines to the F1 organization for the ability for them to not block your windows. So they already shut down all the roads to get to these people's restaurants, establishments, bars,
Crazy.
all of the things that these people pay ridiculous amounts of rent to be able to lease on a monthly basis, and then wanted them to pay $1.5 million to have their view. Not that there was any possible way that they could recoup that over that period of time. Well, that was hogwash. It is further hogwash that they're like, hey, we've done everybody a solid, and we're going to reduce it now to just a flat $50,000 for us not to block your windows and your doors.
Nice.
Again, this is not money that most of these places can recoup, given the amount of rent that they pay. If anyone told you that you needed to pay an extra $50,000 on top of your $50,000, double your lease payment. The other thing that they're doing is that there are there's the people movers across the bridges that go across the street, which are all glass and you can see. They're going to put up black sheets and paper to block people who are walking across those streets. So you can't stand and watch the race. So you can't stand and watch the fight. You can hear the races. But these people are not your target audience. It was $10,000 to be able to get access to the seats, because the only way that they were selling them is if you bought rooms over here and passes to this event and all this other stuff.
We looked. Me and Brian looked for Mom. We looked at tickets. It was like $1,600, Coop, for 3 days.
Damn.
Yeah.
We're like, and that's just in a grandstand somewhere for a race that's going around you. So you're gonna see guys
and
pass
those were benches, not seats, benches.
Right.
Where you got to sit on a number.
It's a real fire festival right now.
Yeah, but meanwhile, you see what they're trying to do for the race in Texas, which is far more easy, far more accessible. But the whole point is that they are just bilking the fans here every which kind of way. They've basically proven that they want to shut the sport off from anyone other than the elite. It is a shame. It is sad to see. It is wrong. It is wrong that the city of Vegas, the people who live there, have had to pay millions of dollars to repave the streets to the standard of being for the F1 racing. That all came out of Vegas funded money, not all from the general fund, but some of it was
the benefit from.
That is the taxpayers not having access to the their area, but also losing access to the things that are going on. They could never do something like that for the Long Beach Grand Prix. They could never sit there and say all those houses and high rises and apartments that they're going to block off their view. They could never say that the hotels where the streets are, that their view would get blocked off.
I don't think they do that in Monaco or any of them other places that they race.
It is 100% correct, and that is why it is hogwash. That they're able to do it, that it's being allowed to be done. That Las Vegas didn't play a little hardball and say, you know what, you guys got a good thing here. Just shut up and play ball.
Yeah.
I was just kind of thinking about something I had real quick. I'm gonna just hogwash mine to the Oakland A's, man. The gonna follow the Raiders, and the things I've been seeing now is how they were saying, they basically try to put it all in the city, and everyone knows, like, we live in California. You can't raise our taxes here. We already live in one of the highest places to live. You can't raise taxes to give to a billionaire to build a stadium. But then they come out and say they're going to put the biggest private investment ever into a stadium in Las Vegas. Like, come on, man. So it was clear y'all didn't negotiate with good intention, and that's fine. But I don't care. It's your business. You own it. You do whatever you want with it. But don't play both sides of it. Just keep it real. Like, we're out here for the bread and go for it. I think we all would appreciate and respect that way more than this. We tried to negotiate and all this, and it sounds like hogwash to me. Like, y'all wanted to move, you got what you wanted. Just say that. Don't be out here like you were trying to make it work with Oakland and it didn't. Like, stop. I
Well,
completely understand the move. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying you can't play. If you were gonna put that kind of money up and you put it out there, you'd probably got it done. That's all I'm gonna say.
isn't that the same playbook the Raiders used though when they left though? I thought that was probably the exact same things they had
Now with
said as
the so
well.
now what I'm seeing now is that the Raiders were trying to put money in, and the A's were like, nah, and blocked them. And so
Mm,
then they do all that just to follow their playbook and move to Vegas.
mm,
So
yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I would say that Al and Mark didn't have the bread that the A's owners may have. I don't know the A's owners like that,
Yeah,
but
no, no, yeah, they got money, the A's owners.
they
Yeah,
didn't have it, right? So
yeah,
he didn't want to stay there. Understand Oakland's unfortunately a city that's kind of on the decline. Oakland, the
yeah,
Bay Area, those portions of it, I get that, but
yeah,
just say that. You know what I mean? Just
yeah,
it's no problem with, like, look, it's not, the market's not here, so we're out.
yeah.
So
I wonder if they're
No,
going to play Moneyball. Like, I don't see how they can play Moneyball in Las
in
Vegas.
Vegas?
Yeah,
Oh
they
no.
gotta pay.
you
You
Mm-mm.
gotta
gotta have
be,
a
Yeah,
yeah,
team.
you
you
gotta pay.
gotta, yeah, you gotta be in there with the Dodgers and the
Right,
And that's
Yankees
the
and the Red
right,
hogwash,
Sox.
right? So you
Yeah,
have all
right.
this. You could have built that and done something. You're like, nah, we don't want to be here. But you try to play like the city's doing it, and now you're going to go out there. And any A's fan who supported this team for that time is going to see them
yeah.
move
Like, why
and
didn't you
start
come out
spending
and support
money.
our
And
subpar product?
exactly,
Yeah.
they, bro, ain't you can't. The bathrooms ain't even got no. I ain't seen nothing like that, bro. Like, the
Glenn,
things, the faucets
man,
don't work, man. Like, they aren't even trying to fix it. It's obvious. Like,
dude,
we don't care. We'll take your
Brian,
money. Shut up.
we was at the game, the opening night with the A's. I told Glenn when I got out the bathroom, that's the same as it was when I went to the game as a third grader, man. They ain't
As a
changing
kid.
bathrooms since. You know what I'm
My
saying?
dad too, bro.
Like,
Like, when my dad was
damn,
going there as a 16-year-old, like, man,
man.
it's bad, bro. And then they started getting on the hot dog vendors outside, and that's one of the best parts, walking across that bridge from
Yeah.
BART. I mean, they're selling hot dogs, bro, selling shots, beers. Hey, I'm just going. I'm not. That's not my thing. But dude was selling psychedelics. I'm not even gonna lie. He had the shrooms on the table
Man,
as you walk into the stadium, bro. Edibles, cops walking by. I'm like, man, this needs to be around, but it's gone now,
crazy. Yeah,
and it goes to
crazy.
Vegas. It's just,
That's
you don't
second
see
funny.
that
It's not
anywhere
how I
else.
thought you would have ended that
I
statement. But
mean, man,
okay.
like this, you got people making, you got the hot dogs, you got the shirts, and then you
Yeah,
got, like,
yeah,
it
sure.
was just very
And
Bay
somebody selling
Area. I'll
fake
put it like
watches
that.
and stuff like that. It's all that stuff is
Yeah, it
there,
was a
man. It's part of
hippie's
the
paradise.
atmosphere. Yeah, it's
It
part of the
was, and it's
atmosphere.
Vegas has its thing. Don't get me
Gone,
wrong, but
gone.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's that. It blew my mind. It does every time, and that's a thing of the past. I'm glad I experienced it. Last segment, minute to win it. Y'all go for it.
Nah, I just want to say thank everybody for listening. Make sure you guys tune in next week when we do our football predictions
Yep.
podcast. It's usually the most highly rated and most entertaining, I think, podcast that we do all year. So make sure y'all check that out. And we're going to try to do it live as well.
Well said.
I'll just say I do not like Florida. I do not like it at all. I was just spent a week there. As you may expect, I had to deal with a COVID outbreak and ridiculously hot temperatures,
There's a hurricane
and
now.
and now they have a hurricane, and
Yeah.
And God bless all the people in the path of it.
and that's exactly what I was going to say. Like, whether I like y'all or not, I hope you all are safe. They're talking about it hitting as a Category 4 storm. DeSantis's ridiculous self just was quoted as saying, "You really have to go right now." They're trying to make sure that they understand that this is pretty significant. This is not going to be a little one, and all that. But at the same time, F you, DeSantis, because last week I got out of town just before they started killing black people for being black. And the police chief got to get up there and say this was clearly a racially motivated crime, and these gentlemen were killed. And DeSantis said,
Two
"Oh, I
men
need to
and a
leave."
woman. Yeah.
Yeah, and And DeSantis said he had to leave this campaign trail to deal with the crisis, and did not make did not have a press release, did not make a press statement, stayed completely quiet. And the next time he comes out to talk about anything, it's this. So F you.
He's on brand.
Yeah.
Mine. I really got nothing. I just, like Coop said, thanks everybody for listening. Next week's football show is always fun. The guys will rank. I'll rank the divisions, and I'm gonna try and keep it under an hour. I'm gonna do my best. We always go over. I'm trying to keep it under an hour.
Yeah.
I'll be curious to see about the AFC West, because I know y'all gonna put the Raiders last, as you always do every single year. So that's always one thing I can count on
last year.
every year.
I think Brian had him in third. I had him in last
I
year.
was gonna
So
say,
yeah.
I had the Broncos.
You
I
had
think.
third. You had the Broncos.
Okay.
In,
All right.
yeah.
So that's cool.
Mhm.
Y'all's average is terrible together. But
Okay.
all jokes aside, mine was, man, I think I'm gonna just be, whatever your politics are, I just think it's kind of funny to see Trump and all them boys with the mugshots, and all the memes that came from it, man. I heard people, they did an AI voice version of Trump doing a rap song in his first day out of jail, which was funny. All the memes that they've turned into. So, hey, man, if it could happen to any one of us, if we did some stuff, they're gonna come after us. So it can happen to you too, bruh. So nobody's above the law. So yeah, that's our show. Sports Counterpoints. If you made it this far, we sure appreciate you for listening. Thanks everybody for checking us out, and we will catch y'all next week. Peace.